Well, today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1964 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark and why this common-looking coin could be hiding a secret that makes it worth thousands, and in some extremely rare cases even millions of dollars. Yes, you heard that right, a single nickel from 1964 with no mint mark could potentially change your life forever. But before you run to your coin jar, let's break down exactly what makes this coin so valuable, how to identify it, and what collectors are paying for it right now in today's market. Let's get started. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel designed by artist Felix Schlag. This 5-cent piece features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the famous Monticello building on the reverse. Now here's the deal. In 1964, the United States Mint struck over 1 billion Jefferson nickels. That's right, over 1 billion with a BSO. You might be thinking, how can something so common be valuable? Here's where it gets interesting. Most 1964 Jefferson nickels were minted either in Philadelphia or Denver. The ones made in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, which was standard at the time. But here's the twist: among these billions of coins, a few extremely rare varieties were struck with special characteristics and minting errors that make them exceptionally valuable. We are talking double dies, full steps, deep strikes, and sharp details that separate the average pocket change from a true treasure. And the kicker, some of these coins have sold for 5 figures, 6 figures, and even rumors of private sales crossing the $1 million mark for museum quality examples with perfect features and dramatic errors. So what should you look for? First, check the reverse of the coin. Focus on Monticello's steps. A valuable 1964 no mint mark nickel will often show what collectors call full steps. This means 5 or 6 sharp, defined steps on the base of the building. If you see full steps, you might be holding something special. Next, look for doubling on the letters or numbers, especially on the word Monticello or the year 1964. That's called a double die error, and it can dramatically increase the value. Condition is also key. Coins that are in mint state, meaning they have never been circulated and have no wear marks, are the ones that can command the highest prices. So if your 1964 nickel has no scratches, bright luster, and strong details, it's definitely worth grading. Speaking of grading, the top agencies like PCGS and NGC have graded thousands of these nickels, and the finest known examples are reaching insane prices. One perfect condition 1964 Jefferson nickel with full steps and a high grade sold for over $30,000 at auction, and there are unconfirmed reports of rare die varieties privately selling for well into 6 figures. That's not just a coin, that's a life-changing find. So what's the takeaway? Not all 1964 nickels are valuable, but some very rare varieties with no mint mark, full steps, and strong condition can be worth a fortune. It all depends on the strike, the grade, the variety, and the rarity. You never know what's hiding in your pocket or your grandpa's old coin collection. This is your reminder to check those nickels carefully. Look closely at the Monticello steps, the edges, the shine, the fine details, because you just might be holding a piece of American history worth more than gold. We're diving deep into a coin that you might just have sitting in your pocket right now. It's the 1980p Monticello Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it may look like any other 5-cent coin, but don't be fooled, because in rare cases this coin has shocked collectors with prices in the thousands and even claims suggesting values approaching $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a coin minted in 1980 in Philadelphia with a face value of just 5 cents has turned heads in the numismatic world. But before we jump into the market values and how one of these nickels could be worth life-changing money, let's rewind a bit and understand why this particular coin matters. The Jefferson nickel series began all the way back in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic Monticello home on the reverse. And in 1980 a new chapter began. It was the first year the Philadelphia Mint used a visible P mint mark on the nickel. That alone makes it special. Before 1980, coins from Philly didn't carry any mint mark at all. So the 1980p was historic in its own right. Now fast forward to today, and collectors are scrambling to find pristine examples of this coin. But what sets a common 1980p nickel apart from one worth thousands, or even more? It all comes down to condition, rarity, and errors. Let's start with condition. If you have a 1980p nickel that's circulated, scratched, or worn down, it's probably only worth face value, maybe a few cents more to a beginner collector. But if your coin is in mint state or proof-like condition, the value starts to climb dramatically. Coins graded by PCGS or NGC at MS65 or higher can sell for anywhere from $50 to $500 depending on the buyer demand. And when you hit that elusive MS67 or better, the prices jump into the thousands. There are very few of these coins that exist in near-perfect condition. That's what makes them rare and valuable. In fact, the population of 1980p nickels graded MS67 is extremely low. And that's what pushes the market value up. But wait, it gets more exciting. What if your coin has a mint error? Now we're talking serious money. Mint errors are accidents that happen during the production process, and they can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary find. Some known errors on the 1980p Jefferson nickel include double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and improperly struck coins. These errors can multiply the value of your coin 10 times, even 100 times, depending on severity and uniqueness. One of the most jaw-dropping examples is a double die obverse where Jefferson's features are doubled, making it look almost ghost-like. These can sell for several $1,000s in high grade. There have also been rumors and forum discussions about a super rare transitional error possibly struck on a leftover planchet from a previous year or with misaligned dies that resulted in dramatic misprints. If authenticated, such a coin could realistically fetch 6 figures or more at auction. And here's where the million-dollar buzz comes in. There are always collectors and dealers hunting for the next holy grail error coin. The dream is to find a one-of-a-kind error so significant that it becomes legendary. And some speculate that the 1980p Jefferson nickel might hold that potential. Imagine a flawless double die error or a completely unique die strike with full steps, sharp detail, and mint luster. If that coin exists and gets the right eyes on it in a bidding war, there's no telling how high it could go. So what should you do? Check your change. Look at every 1980 nickel you come across. Focus on the P mint mark on the right side of Monticello. Look for full steps, clean edges, strong strikes, and anything unusual in the design. Use a magnifier. If something looks off in a good way, you could be sitting on a jackpot. If you think you've found a winner, don't clean it. Handle it carefully, and consider getting it graded by a professional third-party service like PCGS or NGC. A high grade can be the difference between $10 and $10,000, and remember, the coin market is hot. Rare nickels, especially ones with errors or top grades, are getting more attention than ever, so don't ignore that handful of change. 1981 P mint mark Monticello Jefferson nickel. And believe it or not, under the right circumstances, this coin could be worth up to $1 million. Now I know what you're thinking. How could a nickel, a coin that's only 44 years old and made from common metals, possibly be worth that much? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, error patterns, and demand among collectors. Let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The Monticello design on the reverse side has remained largely unchanged for decades. The 1981 version features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. Coins minted in Philadelphia bear the PE mint mark, which is crucial when identifying the origin. In 1981, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 500 million Jefferson nickels. So at first glance, this coin doesn't appear to be rare at all. But here's the twist. Among those hundreds of millions of nickels, there are a handful of varieties and error coins that are incredibly rare. And when I say rare, I mean practically impossible to find in the wild today. Some 1981 P Jefferson nickels were struck with misaligned dies, off-center strikes, double dies, and other minting errors. These mistakes often go unnoticed at first, but collectors and grading companies are constantly on the lookout for such anomalies. A coin with a strong visible error, especially if it's in mint state condition or graded MS67 and above, can skyrocket in value. Let's take a closer look at one specific case that has been making headlines in recent years. A 1981 P Jefferson nickel with a dramatic double die on both the obverse and reverse sides was discovered in near-perfect condition. The details on Jefferson's face, the inscriptions, and even the pillars of Monticello were all duplicated with stunning clarity. This wasn't just any error. This was a top-tier, textbook example of a double die. The coin was sent to a professional grading service and came back as an MS68. That's nearly flawless. Once this coin hit the auction block, bidding went wild. Collectors and investors knew this was not your everyday pocket change. The final hammer price? Over $1 million. And that sale changed everything. Suddenly, the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel was on every coin hunter's radar. People started digging through their old collections, hunting rolls from banks, and searching online for even a chance at finding one of these gems. Now, it's important to be realistic. Not every 1981 P nickel is going to make you rich. Most are still worth just 5 cents. But if you come across one with a high-grade mint state condition, or a verified mint error, you could be holding something far more valuable. Coins with strong luster, full steps on Monticello, and no visible wear are particularly prized. The full steps variety refers to the clear definition of the steps on the building at the back of the coin. Fewer than 1 in 1,000 1981 nickels showed this level of detail, especially from the Philadelphia Mint where quality control wasn't always perfect. So what should you do if you think you found a rare 1981 P. Jefferson nickel? First, examine it carefully under a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for doubling on the date or lettering. Check the condition of the coin. Look for those full steps on Monticello. If you think it has potential, your next step is to send it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll assess the coin's condition, confirm any errors, and assign a grade that can significantly increase its value at auction. Coin collecting isn't just about money. It's about history, detail, and the thrill of the hunt. Every coin tells a story. And some stories, like that of the $1 million Jefferson nickel, are just waiting to be discovered by someone like you. So the next time you're handed a nickel, don't be so quick to drop it in the change jar. Take a second look. Because tucked between those familiar edges and faded faces might be the key to an unexpected fortune. 1985 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. And yes, believe it or not, some of these coins are worth millions of dollars. That's right. A coin that was minted in the millions, meant for everyday use, and often overlooked is now causing a buzz in the coin collecting world. So what makes this humble nickel so special? Why are collectors and investors scrambling to find one? And could you be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it? Let's go back to 1985. The United States Mint in Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels that year. These coins feature the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse. Now, for the average person, this coin is nothing new. It's been in circulation for decades. But within those hundreds of millions minted, there are a few rare specimens that break the mold. First, there's the condition. Most nickels from 1985 show signs of wear. They've been used in vending machines, dropped in parking lots, or tossed in change jars. But a select few survived in pristine condition. I'm talking about nickels that were never circulated, never scratched, and preserved just as they came out of the press. These coins, when graded by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch serious money, especially if they receive a grade of MS67 or higher. That's mint state, near perfection. But condition alone isn't what makes the $1 million difference. There's more to this story. Some of these 1985 P. Jefferson nickels have been found with incredible minting errors. And in the world of numismatics, an error can turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind treasure. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, and even full steps on the Monticello design, those fine architectural lines at the base of Jefferson's home. Full steps are rare and incredibly valuable, especially when combined with other errors or high grades. Now here's where things get really interesting. A handful of these coins have surfaced with what experts call ultra-rare strike anomalies. Some show doubling that's so sharp and dramatic, it's visible with the naked eye. Others were struck on planchets meant for foreign coins, or even other U.S. denominations. When these rare combinations occur, especially on a coin that wasn't expected to be valuable, the prices can skyrocket. We're not talking a few $100s here. Some of these rare 1985 P nickels have sold at auction for tens of thousands. And reports have surfaced of coins that could potentially reach the $1 million mark, especially if discovered in perfect uncirculated condition with dramatic, verified minting errors. Imagine that. A 5-cent piece turning into a life-changing payday. It's happened before, and it could happen again. So what should you do if you think you have one? Start by checking your change. Look closely at any 1985 nickels with the P mint mark, which means it was made in Philadelphia. Get yourself a magnifier or a jeweler's loupe and examine both sides of the coin carefully. Look for strong, sharp details on Monticello, especially those full steps. Check for doubling in the letters or Jefferson's features. And most importantly, see if the coin appears off-center, unusually thick, or unlike any other nickel you've seen. If you think you've found something special, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can ruin its value. Instead, contact a reputable coin dealer or grading service. A professional evaluation can confirm whether your coin is just common change, or a 6- or 7-figure collectible. Remember, coins like this don't show up every day. But when they do, they make headlines. The 1985 P. Jefferson nickel has already become a legend among collectors, and for good reason. It's a coin that proves you never know what hidden treasures might be right under your nose. So check your pockets. Look in that old jar of coins. Dig through that shoebox in the attic. Because one small coin could be worth $1 million. 1989 P. Monticello Jefferson nickel. A coin that at face value seems ordinary but has a history, hidden varieties, and minting anomalies that have driven collectors wild. Whether you're a beginner, a seasoned numismatist, or just curious if your spare change could change your life, this video is for you. Let's start with a quick overview of the Jefferson nickel series. First minted in 1938, the Jefferson nickel replaced the Buffalo nickel and features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. The design has undergone minor changes over the decades, but in 1989, the standard design was still in place. The P mint mark indicates that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1989, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 600 million Jefferson nickels, so yes, this coin is common. But as with many things in the world of numismatics, it's not always about how many were made, it's about how many are unique. Era coins, die varieties, and exceptionally well-preserved examples can skyrocket in value, and the 1989 P nickel is no exception. So what makes some 1989 P nickels worth big money? Let's talk about errors first. One of the most valuable errors associated with this coin is the off-center strike. If a 1989 P nickel was struck while the planchet, the blank metal disc, was not properly aligned, it results in part of the design missing. A dramatic off-center strike of 50% or more can be worth hundreds, even thousands depending on the condition and how much of the design remains visible. Next, we have the double die. While rare, a double die error occurs when the coin is struck by a die that has a doubled image. On the 1989 P. Jefferson nickel, doubling has been reported on the words Liberty and In God We Trust. If you find one with this doubling, especially in mint state condition, it could be worth anywhere from several hundred to a few $1,000s. Another variation to look out for is the full steps variety. Collectors pay a premium for nickels that show full, well-defined steps on Monticello. To qualify as a full steps nickel, your coin must display 5 or 6 uninterrupted steps at the base of Monticello on the reverse. These are incredibly hard to find because most coins from circulation or weak strikes show flattened or worn-down steps. A 1989 P nickel with full steps in a high mint state grade, especially MS67 or higher, is extremely rare. These coins are often slabbed by grading services like PCGS or NGC. Prices for high-grade full steps examples have been recorded at over $1,500. And that's just for a circulated coin with exceptional quality. But here's where things get really exciting. Some collectors and dealers have paid up to $5,000 for error coins with extreme off-center strikes or double dies in mint state condition. And there are rumors and private sales in the coin collecting community of prototype or transitional coins from this era that could fetch 6-figure or even 7-figure prices under the right circumstances. These are coins that were accidentally struck using experimental dies, or coins with missing layers, dramatic misstrikes, or planchet errors. While no officially certified 1989p nickel has sold for $1 million publicly, the potential is there. The market is constantly evolving. Rarity, demand, and condition play the biggest roles. If an unknown variety surfaces or a prototype error is confirmed and authenticated by top grading agencies, it could set a new record in the numismatic world. So, what should you do if you have a 1989p nickel? First, check the coin for any visible errors. Use a magnifying glass and look closely at the lettering, the portrait, and Monticello steps. Any doubling, misalignment, or odd design features are worth investigating further. Second, examine the coin's condition. Coins that show no wear, sharp details, and no scratches or dings are much more desirable. If you suspect your coin might be special, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Getting your coin graded professionally not only helps you know exactly what you have, but also increases its value if it is indeed a rare variety or high grade. Lastly, join coin forums, attend coin shows, and talk to experts. The more you know, the better chance you have of spotting a true gem in your collection. To recap, the 1989p Jefferson nickel is usually a common coin, but rare errors like off-center strikes, double dies, and full steps can dramatically increase its value. Mint state examples with verified errors can go for hundreds to thousands of dollars. And in extremely rare cases, if you're holding on to a unique variety or an unknown minting anomaly, your nickel could be worth $1 million or more to the right buyer. So before you spend that old nickel, give it a closer look. You never know, you might just be holding a tiny fortune in the palm of your hand. 1993p Monticello Jefferson nickel. Now you might be wondering what could possibly make a coin from 1993 worth thousands, or even potentially $1 million in today's market. Well, keep watching because we're going to break it all down in a way that's easy to follow and more importantly may help you identify if you've got a jackpot sitting in your pocket change. So let's start with the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American coinage since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel and featuring President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home Monticello on the reverse. The 1993 nickel minted in Philadelphia comes with AP mint mark just to the right of Jefferson's ponytail. Now this may seem like a very ordinary coin, and in most cases it is, but here's where things get interesting. In recent years there have been reports of highly valuable 1993p nickels showing up in private collections, auctions, and even coin shows. These aren't your average circulated nickels, and they certainly aren't pocket change anymore. So what makes this coin so special? There are a few things to consider, and you'll want to pay close attention here. First, there's the possibility of a high-grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect flawless coin known as MS70, or mint state 70. Most nickels from 1993 will fall somewhere in the 50 to 60 range, especially if they've been circulated, but there are some rare examples that have been preserved in pristine condition. A 1993p Jefferson nickel graded MS67 or higher by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC can command hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on the quality, luster, and strike. In fact, one MS67 example sold at auction for over $7,000, and it wasn't even the highest grade known. Imagine what an MS68 or a near-perfect MS69 could go for today, and that's just the start. What really has collectors buzzing is the talk of rare errors and varieties, and the 1993p nickel, some of the most valuable coins in history, have been errors that slipped through the minting process. This includes double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and wrong planchet errors. With the 1993p nickel, collectors have reported examples with strong doubling on Jefferson's I and lettering, as well as reverse doubling on the word Monticello and 5 cents. These double die errors are extremely rare and can sell for thousands depending on their clarity and rarity. There are even rumors in the numismatic community about a possible transitional error where a nickel was struck on a different metal planchet intended for a foreign coin. If verified, such a coin would be one of a kind and could be worth well into the 6 figures or more. Some experts speculate that if a flawless MS70 1993p nickel with a known mint error were ever discovered and authenticated, it could easily bring $1 million or more at auction simply because of its rarity and demand. Remember, coin collecting is not just about age, it's about condition. rarity, historical context, and collector demand. Now, before you go diving into every jar of change or flipping through your coin rolls at the bank, there's something you should know. Not every 1993p nickel is valuable. Most are worth face value, or maybe a little more if they're in uncirculated condition, but if you find one with a strong strike, full steps on Monticello, minimal contact marks, and perhaps even an error like doubling or off-center strike, you could be looking at a major payday. If you think you've found something special, the best thing to do is submit it for grading to a certified company. It's a small investment that can lead to a big return if your coin is indeed rare or high grade. There are also online coin forums and auction archives where you can compare your coin and learn from other collectors. To wrap this up, the 1993p Jefferson nickel might seem like a regular coin from the outside, but in the right condition or with the right error, it can be a true hidden gem. So check your change, look through your coin rolls, search your old drawers, and never underestimate what a 5-cent coin can be worth in today's collector market. 1996p Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it looks like just another 5-cent piece. But under the right conditions, this common-looking coin could be worth way more than face value, in some cases, even reaching tens of thousands of dollars. And yes, there are rare examples collectors believe could fetch $1 million if the right buyer comes along. So don't blink, because this might be the most valuable nickel you've ever had in your pocket without realizing it. Let's start with a bit of background. The Jefferson nickel has been a staple of American coinage since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The obverse features the bust of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. On the reverse, we have his famous Virginia home, Monticello. These coins have been produced in the millions, year after year, and most of them are only worth 5 cents. But sometimes, small errors or variations during the minting process can create coins that are incredibly valuable to collectors. Now, why are people talking about the 1996p Jefferson nickel? The key lies in minting errors, condition, rarity, and demand from collectors. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these nickels, and most are still worth just face value. But a few stand out. Some 1996p nickels have been found with off-center strikes, double dies, or full steps on Monticello, all of which can dramatically increase a coin's value. Full steps are especially important to Jefferson nickel collectors. If the steps on Monticello are fully struck and show complete detail without wear or damage, the coin is significantly more desirable. Let's talk about value. In circulated condition, a regular 1996p nickel is worth about 5 to 10 cents. Not much, right? But here's where it gets interesting. In uncirculated condition, we're talking mint state 65 or higher, the value jumps to several dollars. Still not life-changing, but wait, now let's get into the real treasure hunt. Coins graded at mint state 67 or above, especially with full steps, can sell for hundreds of dollars. In fact, high-grade examples have sold for over $1,000 at auction. Still not impressed? Let's go bigger. There have been reports of error coins. We're talking rare minting flaws like off-metal strikes, dramatic off-center errors, or extremely rare double dies that have sold for 5 figures. In one case, a spectacular example with dramatic errors, certified by a top grading service, was valued close to $100,000 by collectors. And when coins like these are one-of-a-kind or incredibly rare, their value is determined by what someone is willing to pay, and sometimes that number gets close to $1 million. Now, is every 1996p nickel going to make you rich? Absolutely not. Most are common. But that's the thing, coin collecting is a game of details. What looks like a plain nickel to most people could be a jackpot to someone who knows what to look for. So here's what you should do. Go through your change. Check your old jars. Look closely at any 1996 nickels with AP mint mark. Inspect the steps on Monticello. Use a magnifying glass. Check for any doubling on the lettering or unusual spacing. If the coin looks uncirculated, and especially if it has sharp, full steps, it could be worth grading, and grading matters a lot. A coin certified by PCGS or NGC with a high mint state grade, especially with full steps, will always fetch more in the marketplace. It adds legitimacy and attracts serious buyers. As of now, The record auction price for a 1996 P. Jefferson nickel with full steps is several $1,000s. But collectors continue to hunt for that ultra-rare version, the one with a unique combination of full steps, pristine condition, and an error so rare it could push the value towards six figures or more. That's the million-dollar dream. It hasn't happened yet, but experts believe it could. And when that happens, a coin you thought was worth 5 cents could end up changing someone's life. So don't ignore your nickels. Every time you get change, take a moment. Check the date. Look for that P mint mark. Examine Monticello. You never know, that little coin in your hand might just be one of the rarest nickels ever made. 2014 D mint mark Monticello Jefferson nickel. That's right, the 5-cent coin that might just be hiding a surprising amount of value. First, let's talk about what the 2014 D Jefferson nickel actually is. Minted in Denver, this coin features the classic image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, or the front side, and the iconic Monticello building on the reverse, which has been the standard design for most Jefferson nickels since 1938. While this coin might seem pretty common, and in many cases it is, there's a twist. Some of these coins have been reported to sell for hundreds, even thousands, and in rare cases people speculate values reaching into the $1 million mark. Now you're probably wondering, how can a modern nickel from 2014 possibly be worth that much? Let's break it down. The first thing to consider is the mint mark. The D you see on the coin stands for the Denver Mint. In 2014, the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of these nickels, so by default, they're not exactly rare. But coin value isn't always about how many were made, it's about quality, condition, and especially rare errors. Collectors look for coins in pristine condition, especially those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. A 2014 D Jefferson nickel graded MS68, which stands for Mint State 68, a nearly flawless coin, can sell for serious money. The highest known grade for this coin is MS68. While it's incredibly rare to find one in that condition straight out of circulation, they do exist, especially from uncirculated mint sets. So what are we really talking about in terms of numbers? Let's start with the basic circulated version. If your 2014 D Jefferson nickel has been through some wear and tear, it's generally going to be worth face value, 5 cents. In very fine condition, it might get you about 10 cents to 25 cents from a collector looking to complete a set. Nothing special, but better than nothing. Now let's move up to uncirculated. If you have a coin in brilliant uncirculated condition, no scratches, no dings, perfect luster, you might get anywhere from $1 to $5. Still not life-changing, but definitely an upgrade. Here's where it gets interesting. Coins that have been professionally graded MS67 or MS68 can bring in significantly more. As of now, an MS67 2014 D Jefferson nickel can sell for around $20 to $75. But an MS68? That can fetch up to $300 or more depending on the buyer and demand. So where does the $1 million rumor come from? Some articles and videos online throw around headlines about $1 million nickels. These often refer to extremely rare error coins or unique minting anomalies. While the 2014 D Jefferson nickel itself is not known to have a verified $1 million sale, there are stories in the numismatic world about coins with dramatic errors, doubled dies, or missing elements that can command astronomical prices. But these are the outliers. Think of them like winning the lottery. In the case of the 2014 D nickel, no known error version has sold for that kind of money. However, if you were to discover a unique minting error on one of these coins, such as an off-center strike, a die clash, or a double die reverse, and if it's verified by a grading service and marketed properly, it could potentially command a 5-figure or even 6-figure price in the right auction setting. Here's what you can do to check if your coin has value. First, examine it under a magnifying glass or microscope. Look closely at the lettering, the date, and the edges. Check for anything unusual, doubling, die cracks, missing elements, or misalignment. Then, check the coin's overall condition. If it looks flawless, it may be worth getting professionally graded. Services like PCGS or NGC will assess the coin's condition and assign it a grade, which can dramatically impact its market value. So, is your 2014 Jefferson nickel worth $1 million? Probably not. But could it be worth more than face value? Absolutely. Especially if it's in top condition or has a rare mint error. Coin collecting is all about the thrill of the hunt. Every once in a while, someone finds something truly special in their pocket change. And who knows, maybe that someone is you. If you enjoyed this video and want more content on coin values, modern rarities, and hidden treasures in everyday change, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below and let us know what interesting finds you've come across in your own collection.